I'm Stewart Gillespie. Welcome to 5 Minutes in Romans, bite-sized nuggets in God's great gospel of his Son, Jesus Christ. In Romans 1:17 and 18, we're told about God's two great revelations. The revelation of the righteousness of God in the gospel of the Lord Jesus, that's verse 17, and the revelation of the wrath of God in verse 18. You could almost draw two pictures of this. I would take you back to Luke chapter 23, and I would remind you there that there was a cross at the very centre, and on either side were two thieves. One who came into the experience of the righteousness of God. He came in faith to Jesus Christ. He had nothing to bring and nothing to offer. He had no opportunity to do penance nor prayers, no sacrament and no baptism. He cast himself dependently, completely in faith on the Lord Jesus Christ. And he came into the blessings of the righteousness of God. You see, in the Old Testament of the Bible, we're introduced to that righteousness. It's God's holy standard. And so often we see God moving out and removing sinful men because they have fallen short of his standard. That, in a sense, was the story of the flood. The wickedness of man was great, and so the righteousness of God flooded over this world and removed sinful men. It was a story of Sodom and Gomorrah, and it was a story of the judgment that fell upon men because of broken laws. And yet, in those Old Testament scriptures, there was also an echo that God would one day do something more. Not only remove sinful men because of his righteousness, but remove sin from men. A far greater work in many ways. A work that would cost him everything. A work that would cost him his son. For example, Psalm 132 verse 9. Let your priests be clothed with righteousness, and let your saints shout with joy. Or Isaiah 61:10. I will greatly rejoice in the Lord. My soul shall be joyful in my God, for he has clothed me with the garments of salvation. He has covered me with the robe of righteousness. And so the righteousness of God in the Old Testament was not only the standard of God by which he removed sinful men, but it was also the purpose of God by which one day he would remove sin from men. And that is only possible in the work of the Lord Jesus Christ. A work that shows not only the righteous character of God, but the righteous conduct of God. That God is both just and the one who makes just those who believe in Jesus. Because Christ took the punishment of that sin that is mine, that I might receive the righteousness of God that belongs to him. And so, back there in Luke 23, a wonderful picture of these two verses here in Romans 1. First of all, the righteousness of God in that thief that turns to the Lord Jesus Christ and cries, Lord, remember me when you come into your kingdom. This day shall you be with me in paradise. And on the other side, one who sadly embraced the wrath of God, just moments away from eternity. All of his life flashing before him. All of the sins accumulated over those years, and yet he chooses to stand one day in the presence of a holy God, still in his sin. And he's ready to embrace, tragically embrace, the wrath of God. Our choice, righteousness or wrath. And that blessing of righteousness becomes ours by faith in Jesus Christ. We could never buy it. Christ paid the cost. Between the righteousness of verse 17 and the wrath of verse 18 stands the cross of Jesus Christ. Thanks for joining us. Join us again for 5 minutes in Romans. Follow and share for more. God bless.